Many years ago, when all these ride sharing companies came about, they marketed themselves as a safer alternative to walking down to the corner, hailing a cab, and getting in with a complete stranger. You pull up your app, you see the person's picture, you know the vehicle that's coming to get you, and you assume everything is going to be completely safe. It's all accounted for, it's all documented right there. But unfortunately, as we're finding out more and more, that is really not the case with some of these rideshare programs. Joining me now to talk about this is Scott Hardy with Top Class Actions. And Scott, of course, I'm talking about Lyft. Lyft has been having a very real problem with their drivers allegedly sexually assaulting women who summon a driver. Tell us what's happening with this. This is terrifying.
And we're seeing these complaints for both Lyft and Uber, frankly. And what's happening is, the common advice that we gave people years ago was never get in the car with a stranger. And here we are trusting an app. And now now that the apps and rideshare has become so prolific, it's make sure that as you said, the picture matches the driver that you see in your app, make sure the license plate's the same. But even if you do that, women are still getting sexually assaulted out there. We're receiving reports of dozens per year. And as it's stated in the class action, most sexual assaults actually go unreported. So you have a huge problem, and Lyft and Uber could actually help with this problem, but they don't mandate certain things. They don't mandate cameras in cars. That's a big way to help make sure that their riders are safe, and also that their drivers are safe. We've received complaints from female Lyft and Uber drivers that they were sexually assaulted or physically assaulted by intoxicated customers who got into their car. Cameras can help make sure that you have everything documented. Another big way that they can fix this is not just do their quote unquote extensive background checks, but do actual fingerprint background checks. Most taxi commissions around the country require that the drivers actually go through a fingerprint background check, because of course, if you are just putting in your information into your Lyft application and you put in false information, they might not necessarily find out that you have a criminal record. They have to do that through a fingerprint background check. That's one more way that they could help secure their customers, and so far they're just not doing that.
I think you hit an interesting point there too. It's not just protecting the passengers from the drivers, but also, in some instances, the drivers from the occupants of the vehicle. I mean, we've seen a lot of stories about, the female drivers, as you said. Guys get in the cars, maybe they're a little, over hormonal, maybe they're drunk, whatever it is, and they do things, they grab the drivers, they harass them as they're on their way. So to me, it really is something that kind of goes both ways, but it all obviously falls back on the company here. Lyft is not protecting their drivers. They're not protecting the people who are using the app. They're really failing across the board. And this is just kind of the latest in a long line of stories about how really bad, I guess you would say, these ride-sharing companies can be. I mean, we all know the issue with the wages and the reclassification of the drivers, trying to make them not employees but contractors. But this is even worse, because this is putting people's lives in danger here.
Exactly. We need to have some form of corporate, really responsibility here from Lyft, from Uber, looking out for their customers, looking out for their drivers, and going that extra mile and mandating things like cameras, mandating things like fingerprint background checks to really show everybody that they're doing their best to keep everybody safe. And as Lyft and Uber are looking at IPOing either this year or early next year, these things are going to come out, and hopefully they'll make the right decision and go look at safeguarding their customers, safeguarding their drivers rather than their profits.
Absolutely. For more information about this issue, please follow the link in the description of this video, head over to Top Class Actions, and while you're there, make sure you subscribe to their weekly newsletter. Scott Hardy with Top Class Actions, thank you very much for talking with me today.
You're welcome. Thanks for your time, Farron.
While Roundup continues to cause cancer, Monsanto continues to make huge profits from the sale of Roundup. They won't take it off the market. If you or a loved one were exposed to Roundup at home or at work and then developed non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, you may be entitled to financial compensation.